Then on Sports Central, we have our March Madness game preview and prediction on the round of 32 matchup between the Villanova Wildcats and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Both teams had good wins in the first round of action. Should make for a good matchup in the second round. We'll be going for a full game preview and prediction on this match period today. Starting out with your team trends, Villanova is 27-7 overall heading into this matchup. They beat Delaware 80-60 in the round of 64, so that was a good win for them. Overall, Delaware maybe hung around for a little while, but Villanova in the end won that game handily. And Ohio State, they had a huge win over Loyola Chicago. There were many uncertainties about the Buckeyes going into this tournament with their injuries, plus how inconsistent they were down the stretch of the final parts of this season. And so for Ohio State, 2011 coming into this matchup and off of obviously a huge win against Loyola Chicago, who's known to be a dangerous team in the tournament, it's definitely a huge opportunity here for the Buckeyes going up against a 2-seed in Villanova. Conference records, Villanova 16-4. They're 8-5 in games against the top 25. So the Wildcats have played 13 games over the course of the season against ranked opponents. Villanova, this team has played a tough schedule. They've played a lot of really good teams, and for them with their record, 27-7, that's a good record considering how tough of a schedule they played. And for Ohio State, they're 4-3 in games against the top 25, so they haven't played quite as many games against ranked opponents, but still the Big Ten is a tough enough conference where any team can win in any given game there. So, certainly you got a good matchup here between two very good basketball teams. Games will be on Sunday, March 20th, today in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and your tip-off is 2:40 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going Villanova here by 4.5, so Wildcats are favored, not surprising, and it is a pretty close spread, which is also not surprising concerning Ohio State. They dominated Loyola Chicago. It was somewhat close for a long time, but Ohio State, it really didn't feel like Loyola Chicago had much control of that game. Ohio State, even though it was somewhat close at times, and the Buckeyes just looked in control for a good chunk of the game, even though they only scored 54 points. I'm just going to put it out there right now. You're going to have to score more than 54 points if you want to beat Villanova, and that's kind of the thing for Ohio State is, they're dealing with some injuries here, and that is a concern going into, obviously, a tournament where you got to win so many games in a row if you want a national title. So, if that catches up to them, we'll find out, especially in this game when Ohio State is going up against a really good team in Villanova. Ohio State's going to have to score more in this game if they want to beat a Villanova team that is very good offensively. Over-under is 134, and your BPI is going Villanova 75.1%. If you look at the tournament run, once again, Villanova beat Delaware by 20, and Ohio State beat Loyola Chicago 54-41. So defensively, they held the Ramblers to 41 points, which is obviously that's very good in a basketball game to only hold an opponent to like 40 points. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup. Villanova 72.6 points a game this season, 63.1 allowed, and their BPI rank is 6. And in comparison to Ohio State, you got 73 points a game, and then you got 68.5 points allowed, and your BPI rank is 23. So overall, the BPI rank for Ohio State is pretty high considering this team is a 7 seed in this tournament. But once again, for Villanova being a team that's performed reasonably well given how tough of a schedule they've had, it certainly makes sense. And speaking of which, going on to some notable matchups here, Villanova, of course, over the season, they lost to Baylor by 21. That was the best opponent that they played. The Bears beat Villanova big time there, but Villanova did beat Tennessee, who was a 3 seed in this tournament, by 18 at one point. They lost to Purdue by 6. They were 2-0 against Providence, and they lost to UCLA, who was a 4 seed in this tournament, by 9. And against their toughest opponents, they did lose to Baylor, lost to Purdue, lost to UCLA as well, but nonetheless, they still have performed overall pretty consistently well over the course of the season. Ohio State, they beat Duke by 5. That was obviously a huge win. Lost to Purdue by 3. They were 1-1 against Wisconsin. Beat Illinois by 3 and lost to Iowa by 13 at one point this season. And Ohio State, this is a team too. If you look at how they played down the stretch, the last parts of the regular season, they lost to Nebraska back on March 1st, and that was kind of the point where Ohio State was like, and many of the fans I can imagine were not very confident in this team's ability to go deep into the NCAA tournament. But they did beat Michigan State the next game, ended up losing to Michigan then after that, and of course lost to Penn State in the tournament. So, Ohio State, this team has got they've got tremendous talent. It's just a matter of whether this team can can stay consistent. And I mean, obviously, once again, Villanova is a better basketball team than Loyola Chicago is, so they do have a challenge here in front of them. Some key points: Villanova, 27-7, have played a very challenging schedule. Once again, they've got tremendous talent. They make very few mistakes too. I mean, Villanova, this is the best free throw shooting team in the nation, so I mean, you can't expect to get many mistakes out of the Wildcats in free throw shooting. And plus, I mean, this team in general is incredibly, I mean, they're very strong, they're very physical, and they're certainly I mean, they don't make many mistakes. So, and that's what Villanova has been known for. So, I mean, that's something for Ohio State. It's going to be tough, being a very talented and a very well coached Villanova team. And once again, they're built for a deep tournament run. They got talent to do so. It's just a matter of, I mean, this team has played a grueling schedule. So, I mean, if that catches up to them too, that would be kind of something for them. But for Ohio State, a great win over Loyola in the first round. They got a few injuries, but still plenty of talent once again, and they've been impressive over the course of the season for sure. You could argue definitely one of the top teams in the Big Ten, but they have been inconsistent at times too. So that is a bit concerning. Obviously, in a tournament that you got to win. I mean, if you make one slip up, you're out of the tournament. So for Ohio State, that certainly is something to keep in mind. But that's, let's get to the prediction here for Villanova and Ohio State coming up here in the round of 32 this afternoon. I'm going to go with Villanova to win this game, 68-64 is my predicted final score. I just feel like the Wildcats, I mean, this team just does not make mistakes. They're overall just, they're built better for a deep tournament run. And Ohio State, they've got tremendous talent, but the injuries do concern me a little bit. Plus, I mean, the Buckeyes with their inconsistencies can be a bit of a concern. But Ohio State, this is a team that is very capable of winning this game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Buckeyes did. I mean, this is a tougher one for sure for me. But Villanova, I'm just more confident picking the Wildcats in this game, so I'm going to go with them to win this game by 4. Probability 55% towards the Wildcats, so obviously it's going to be close. It's tough to predict. Your over-under is 134, and I expect this to be, I mean, I don't expect it to be a terribly low-scoring game, but I don't expect it to be a massive, you could say, shootout by any means. But yeah, I think, I mean, I'm going to take the under for this game and Ohio State to cover the 4.5-point spread right now. But the spread is tough to pick for this game. I mean, you could certainly go with Villanova if you're confident that the Wildcats are going to dominate most of this game. But I think Ohio State kind of hangs around. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to pick the spread, especially in this one. But I do think the under is a pretty reasonable bet for this game. And I do, once again, expect Villanova in the end to get the win in this matchup. They proceed on to the Sweet 16. They beat Ohio State by 4. But let me know your thoughts and comments below on this game, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.